You know, a lot of people will give you just terrible information about why you should avoid the carnivore diet, how it's scary, and how it will do horrible things to you, and how it will be nothing but a disaster if you do it. Bad information is sort of the go to means of trying to keep you away from it. I mean, you know, some of the typical ones that we hear so much about how too much protein will destroy your organs, or you eat too much protein, it'll turn to sugar in your body. And look, no, there's no evidence that too much protein will harm your kidneys or your liver or whatever it is people say this week about protein. And yeah, your body can make glucose, but it will do it as it needs it because your body needs glucose for some basic functions, and it can synthesize it out of protein. It's not a problem. There's a lot of really bad information out there. So let's go over a few of the myths here, and I've got 5 of them for you because that's a nice round number for this. And let me know in the comments if you can think of a few other myths about the carnivore diet. And I might do a bonus one at the end, just because it's one of the more controversial ones in the carnivore space, and I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Maybe I'll do a full-length video at the end. But let's go over these myths. The first one of the most prevalent misconceptions about the carnivore diet is that it's unhealthy due to its high fat content. We've been living under the nutritional tyranny of fat bad and low fat good for like 60 years now. And in those 60 years, we've seen obesity go through the roof. And we also know from the data that people consume about the same amount of quote unquote calories that they have for that entire period of time, that they consume actually less sugar than before. And yet obesity is increasing. Why is that? It's a good question. This is a myth because while the carnivore diet, if you live the carnivore diet, you're going to consume a lot of fat. That does not make it unhealthy. When you do it correctly, carnivore diet can be very healthy. The key is to zero in on practices of eating good fats, like saturated fat. Yes, saturated fat from ruminant animals is good for you. It's satiating. It's not what causes heart disease. We know this. What causes heart disease is probably eating carbohydrates mixed with any fats. It's another topic for another time, though. But ruminant animals should be the base of your carnivore diet. Most of you know that already, but this is going to be, for most people watching this, beef. Lamb is another totally legitimate option. Lamb is fed grass. It is like the easier way to get a grass-fed, grass-finished animal is lamb. It's just that most people don't know how to cook lambs. And there's plenty of instructions online for how to cook lamb so it doesn't have the, well, lamb flavor that since World War II we've all become kind of allergic to for some reason. But what you want to avoid are the undesirable fats. These are going to be the types of fats you see in processed foods, which are mostly going to be the various kinds of unsaturated fats and the kinds that come mostly from plant oils, canola oil, and all this other stuff. Let me know, by the way, in the comments, because I've never done this before. I know it's a gross process, but I've never actually done this. Let me know if you'd like to see a reaction video of just watching how vegetable oil is made. Might be entertaining, and you'll be able to see how vegetable oil is made if you've never seen it before. So let me know in the comments if you would like to see that, because it sounds disgusting to me. But the myth is that saturated fat is bad. It's not. There's no evidence whatsoever that saturated fat causes problems for human beings. It's the so-called healthy plant fats that usually are the culprits here. So avoid them, which is easy to do on a carnivore diet, since the vast majority of the fat you're going to get is going to be saturated fats and unsaturated fats in the proper proportions coming from an animal. Let's go to myth number 2. Some people believe that the carnivore diet is only a short-term solution for weight loss and metabolic repair and all the rest, and that it is not a long-term sustainable plan. That is not the case. We know there are plenty of people in this space who've been doing carnivore for decades. I had somebody in my comment section here on this channel just the other day say that they've been doing carnivore for 4 decades. Okay? It's sustainable. If there was going to be a problem, that person was going to have a problem, they would have found it by now. Other examples, Dr. Chafee is probably the most widely known example. He's been carnivore for 23 years or something at this point. Look, it can be done, but you have to get in the mindset to do it. You have to commit yourself to this way of life, because it really is sort of a way of life. As long as the diet is followed correctly, there is no evidence that it can't be a long-lasting, successful program for a person. You just have to follow the program, and it's not that hard. Eat mostly red meat. Add a little bit of other meats occasionally, and a little bit of dairy if you can handle it occasionally. Eat eggs, eat bacon, drink water. Use the amount of salt your body needs. It's kind of it. That's all there really is to it. We know this. There are so many examples out there of people who've done this successfully for long term without ill effect, that if they do it properly and they listen to their body, this can be a very sustainable way of eating. It just can be. You have to listen to your body, and you have to break yourself from the cultural idea that we should have a wide variety of foods to eat. That is a very modern idea that is unnecessary. We don't need it anymore. There are plenty of people who eat literally nothing but ribeye steaks every day. And while that's a pretty rich way to eat for me in terms of financially, you can eat ground beef or hamburger patties or leaner steaks or everything else every day for the rest of your life and be perfectly healthy. You just got to know how to do it. Let's go to the number 3. That there's some sort of lack of nutrients that you're going to have in the carnivore diet. This is one of the most weird misconceptions. It is based on a couple of ideas here. That 1, meat has no nutrients in it. That's a myth. And that 2, plants have a lot of nutrients in them and are thereby healthy. Again, it's a myth. The carnivore diet includes removing all plants, and I do mean all of them, including stevia and all that stuff if you can. It is extremely rich in nutrients when done properly, and this is because plants, while being nutrient dense, have all their nutrients locked up with a whole cocktail of naturally occurring defense chemicals and anti-nutrients and glucose. And your body will absorb glucose more often than not before it'll go for the other nutrients in plants. That is a simple scientific fact. And the other thing that you will have to worry about here is those anti-nutrients and those other defense chemicals will either have horrible metabolic effects on your system, or they will simply make it so your body doesn't absorb a lot of these nutrients. They'll be bound up with those chemicals, and your body will pass most of that stuff. We know from the research that beef has pretty much everything you need in it. And what it doesn't have, you can get from your eggs, or you can get from occasionally having a little bit of bacon or something like that. And as long as you get your electrolytes, you're pretty much set. It's just that transition phase for a lot of people who are new to this way of eating can be pretty rough for some people. So don't listen to there's no nutritional value to these things. If you're one of those people who needs more, then you can delve into the organ meats as you need. But most people don't need them very often. Let's go on to myth number 4. Those who have diabetes should not follow the carnivore diet, contrary to popular belief. This is my favorite one, actually. In fact, carnivore can help with type 2 diabetes control. Look, if you're watching this video, you've probably seen Dr. Ken Berry talk about this. He has helped numerous patients get away from their diabetes medications and control their diabetes themselves by eliminating the carbs, either by going keto or by going full carnivore or something in between. The track record speaks for itself. To the point now where mainstream nutritional media are talking about keto as a way to handle diabetes. And carnivore is more than keto. It takes the logic of keto and goes further with it, with the same, and if not better, results beyond diabetes, to include Hashimoto's and eczema and all sorts of things that we don't think about being connected to nutrition. This diet can do it for you. So don't listen to the naysayers when they say that type 2 diabetes can't help you with controlling your blood sugar, because it absolutely can. Of course, this comes with a caveat. Consult a carnivore doctor for more on the science of how this works, because they're going to know better than you or I on how the nuts and bolts of this work. But just don't listen to the naysayers. They don't have your best interests at heart, often at times, or if they do, they're just running off of bad information. Because we have accepted that the standard American diet can be healthy, and there really is no version of the standard American or standard Western diet that is healthy. And a lot of doctors are hostile to the carnivore diet without knowing the first thing about nutrition. Bear that in mind. And of course, I've mentioned this at the beginning. We'll go to number 5, and that is the myth that eating lots of protein can damage the kidneys. There's literally no evidence in the literature that that's true. None whatsoever. Maybe someone will cite a study and then they'll show you that it was someone eating enormous amounts of whey protein or pea protein or something. But that stuff is like highly processed protein that is not in any way similar to what would happen if you're eating roast beef every day, okay, or chicken legs every day. It's simply not the case. I get like 210 grams of protein a day minimum, okay? I'm fine. I'm in the best health I've ever been in. There are people in this space who get a lot more than that. Protein isn't going to harm you, nor is it going to turn into some such amount of sugar that is going to send you into insulin shock or something. Those are myths. Protein is not your enemy. Protein is the building block of the body. Nutritionally, it is very much your friend. Get as much as your body needs, depending on how active you are. I'm pretty active, so I need more than most people. A lot of studies that have been peer-reviewed reveal that healthy people's kidney functions did not suffer as a result of a ketogenic diet. There are just numbers of these studies out there now. It is essential to note that a keto diet may not be suitable for individuals with pre-existing kidney conditions. There is that caveat. So go to a keto-friendly doctor to get a full examination done on this stuff. Always before starting a new diet is a good idea to consult a physician who is not overtly hostile to the diet because it is the diet. Don't go to someone who's biased and against something, and someone who is so in favor of something that would tell you that there's no circumstance where you shouldn't do it. But most of the time you'll be okay. And I want to just give you the last one here, the bonus one, and really it's the organ meat thing. If you are hung up about starting a carnivore diet because you can't bring yourself to eat liver or brains or everything every day, most people in this space don't eat organ meats at all. I don't really. For therapeutic reasons, I will eat organ meat. I had a blood loss event last summer. I lost 200 milliliters of blood, which is about 2 cups of blood or something, for those of you watching in America. And for a few days after the event, I ate a little bit of liver and beef heart. Within like 3 or 4 days of the event, I was back at the gym, weightlifting and performing in the gym as if nothing had happened. It was amazing. I wouldn't have done anything super strenuous beyond what I was normally used to doing. Like I probably wouldn't have tried some new heavy compound lifts or something, but this was my normal workout routine, and I was back to performing just fine. You don't need to eat organ meat every day as a general rule. There are exceptions. There are people who report that they do feel better by eating it every single day. Their bodies may have other needs that we don't have, that most people don't have due to some various metabolic issues they have. But the vast majority of us don't need it. I couldn't tell you the last time I ate beef heart or liver. I have a small amount in my freezer for those rare occasions where I need it. Most of us don't, though. So it is a myth that you need to eat it every day. And you especially don't need to eat brains, which aren't even legal to sell in most states. I can't even get kidneys in my state legally. I have to actually have them mailed to me if I wanted them. Why would I want them? So you can't get them in a lot of places anyway. And there's no reason to eat them unless you have a very specific metabolic issue that requires you to up the nutrient game. But that's not most people. That's not most of us. So if you're afraid because of liver and all that stuff, don't worry about it. And if you find that you do need to eat that stuff, there are plenty of tutorials online on how to cook the stuff properly. You don't need to go spend $60 a bottle for some desiccated organ supplements. There's literally no reason to buy that stuff. None whatsoever. Just, if you have to eat it once in a while. Learn how to cook it properly, and you'll be fine. So those are 5 myths plus 1 for a total of 6 about the carnivore diet. Let me know about other myths about the carnivore diet in the comments. For those of you who've been watching this for a while, if you've got questions about it, ask away in the comments. Either I or someone in the audience will answer them for you. The comment sections of carnivore videos are the best places on the internet to get your questions answered, far better than social media, regular social media. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help, as does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore, and thanks for watching.